Astrocade, the professional video game system that gives you 4-player capability, 3 built-in games, a calculator, and these new cartridges, Creative Crayon. Even the young can make beautiful pictures. The Incredible Wizard has a dungeon of surprises for you. You can even create your own games with Astrocade Basic, the easy computer teaching cartridge.
If you took one of America's leading video games and added 3 built-in games, 4-player capability, a 3-octave music synthesizer, 256 color variations, a built-in calculator, and a basic program making it a personal home computer, you'd have Astrocade, the professional arcade. With a never-ending library of coin-op quality, exciting games, there's no easier way to learn about computers than with the new Astrocade Basic system. The plug-in cartridge with built-in audio tape interface converts your Astrocade into a personal computer that you can program yourself. The complete self-teaching instruction book will help you learn programming while you create electronic music, video art, and computer games like these.
Hey folks, Crazyclimber80 here again, and this time we're going to look at another home video game console. This is the 2nd generation home video game console, and it is known as the BALLY Astrocade, although actually it went through a number of name changes during its lifetime, and it was actually named the BALLY Astrocade towards the end, but it's most commonly known as the BALLY Astrocade, or just Astrocade. Some technical info about the console. The creator was Bally Manufacturing. It was released at a price tag of $300. Insane. It actually had a pretty powerful engine to it. It didn't take advantage of any strong color palette, unfortunately, which might have kind of spelled its doom. The computer was a Zilog Z80. The RAM was 4K to 64K with 8K ROM. Graphics 162 by 102 or 320 by 204. Up to 8 colors, at least from what I've heard. The sound was 3 oscillators with noise mixing and vibrato. It was initially known as the Bally Home Library Computer. That was a mail order in 1977. In 1978, it was released in stores as the Bally Professional Arcade. Then there was the Bally Computer System, released in 1981 with a basic cartridge. And then there was also a keyboard that the system could sit on top of, a computer keyboard. Then there was the Astrocade, released in 1982, and then in 1983 it was discontinued. There's the Astrocade keypad and reset eject buttons, and we'll take a little closer look. The keypad was calculator-like, and there were also keypad overlays for the various games. And there is the cartridge slot. And here is the Astrocade Controller. And you have a trigger, and at the top there is an orange knob, and that can rotate left or right. But it can also act as a joystick, and you can push it up, down, left, or right. Maybe 8 directions, I'm not entirely sure. And now we're going to look at the typical game box and the game cartridge. And finally, we're going to look at the games. Now, the system comes with Gunfight and Checkmate, a calculator, and Scribbling, but we're going to start off with 280's Zap and Dodgem. And you get to insert the amount of time you want to have for your race. in Zap, and this is just like Night Driver. You have no gear shift. You just try to rotate with the knob left and right, and pour on the gas and try to avoid slamming into the fence posts, and they'll say funny messages sometimes, like Zork or Bam or something, and you just run until the time runs out and it says finish line. That's all there is to it. Not a great game. And now we're going to go ahead and have a look at Dodgem. We will look at the games that came with the system as well. We'll do that later. But for Dodgem, you put in the amount of time, and you just try to avoid running into cars or running into the wall just like that. The emulated, the controls are kind of messy to start with. You kind of want to veer into the fence posts to begin with. But yeah, just try to avoid running into cars and get the maximum amount of points for the time that you have. But next we're going to look at the Amazing Maze. And I kind of like this one, even though the sound effects are rather grating. For a lot of the games, you can put in the maximum amount of score that you want to try to reach. And you can choose the difficulty level. Sometimes you can choose the amount of time that you have to play the game. Yeah, this music here is annoying. But you have a handful of seconds to study the maze, and then you have to try to beat the blue square. Oops, I screwed up. Or, nope, I got it right. To the side that they started at, and they're trying to get where you started at. Yeah, the music is annoying, but the game's alright. This was an arcade game, as was a 280 Zap. All these games are, well, not all these games are multi-cart, but you can choose the other games that came with the system too. And once you reach the amount of games that you gave yourself to play, or amount of wins to have, then your game ends. And we're going to look at the second game on this cart, which is Tic Tac Toe. And it's just Tic Tac Toe, and you play against a computer here. And you just play the amount of games that you chose to play. Really kind of dull, but I kind of like Amazing Maze, even though the sound is annoying. The sound, at least on the Astrocade, is fairly rich. Now we're going to look at a game called Artillery Duel, and this is the typical artillery game from the PC, where you just try to shoot one cannon with your cannon, and you can change the direction of your turret, perhaps. I love this part here. Rather a slow soldier trying to keep up with the other two. And then they man the tank. You can also adjust the amount of gunpowder that you use to fire your shot, and you just try to hit each other, and you get a point if you do hit the other tank. I remember, I think I saw the original on Apple II or something back in the day. So you gotta adjust barrel and powder, and then select fire. When you're ready, you adjust. I think using up and down. But yeah, some games it's really critical to use the dial on. Like I said, it's an orange knob, and you can twist it left and right, or you can push it up, down, left, right. And there, I missed there. But we're going to see me successfully hit the other tank. And when you beat the opponent, then the terrain will change for the next round. Got him. and that blast somehow turns that whole side of the formation black. Well, that is Artillery Duel, and now we're going to look at Astro Battle. And you can choose the difficulty. And it's Space Invaders. It's certainly playable Space Invaders. Choosing the higher difficulty levels can make the opponents, or the invaders, shoot a lot more. They may be faster. And this will have the UFO, which gives you bonus points. This one's alright. I could certainly play this. One thing that's kind of stupid is that the enemies drop down lower and lower the more you play. There, I got him. And it's in 100, 200, and 300 point increments, the UFO, just like in the arcade Space Invaders. Yeah, one thing that's one thing that's stupid is, like I said, they will drop lower and lower the more formations you face, and eventually they will drop too low, like there, and your game will be over automatically. That's kind of lame. And now this time we're going to look at take a quick look at Bally Pin, and this is a decent enough pinball game. You can play one or two different type of pinball settings. And this is a weird game called Biorhythm. I have no idea what to do here. But you enter, I guess, your name. I couldn't quite figure out the controls for this at the time, so I just named myself 69. But you enter your birthday, and I guess, like, what date. It progresses through the calendar days, and it plays this annoying tune and this weird chart or something that scrolls as you reach that date, and you move like left and right, and your eardrums want to burst. Yeah, if you ever liked those hyper sound effect games by Bally Midway in the late 70s, early 80s, then you're going to love the Astrovision. Now we're going to look at blackjack, poker, and acey-deucey. And this is, card games. You can tell well enough what the suits are that you see. Yeah, the graphics were not great on the Astrovision. The strongest suit of the system was the music and sound effects. And we'll just see a little sample of the blackjack and acey-deucey and poker games. Like I said, the life of the system was generally 77 if you bought it mail order, but 78 to 83. But yeah, this is the only card game of the Astrovision, and there were only what was it, 28 or so games. This got kind of popular, I guess, with homebrew programmers. I remember back in the day, the card game I liked playing was Las Vegas blackjack and poker on the Intellivision. I loved the dealer. Yeah, some of these games, I'm sorry, I really wasn't entirely sure how to play, but I wanted to at least show some clips of them. And next we're going to look at Blast Droids. And trying to remember what type of game this was. Oh yeah, this is kind of crappy. You can go into this arena, you can fly, know, use your thrusters and enter the arena, or you can just sit outside and shoot these enemies. See, we'll go ahead and enter. And you just try to eliminate all the enemies that will enter, and sometimes they can kind of surprise you where they enter from. Not my favorite game. And the walls will kill you if you run into them. Oop, like that. Kind of like Berserk. And this is Brickyard and Clowns, 2-game cartridge. And this is just like Breakout. You can select the amount of balls that will, and it has some interesting dynamics for the way that the ball bounces around sometimes. And you break all the blocks, and then you'll get a new set of them. And now we'll look at Clowns, and this is like the classic game Circus, where you bounce a clown off of the trampoline or the seesaw, which bounces the other one up in the air to pop balloons. It plays very much similar. This one's not bad. My favorite game by far on the Astrocade is coming up a little bit later. But if you like the game Circus or Circus Atari, then you're definitely going to like this one too. I like the dynamics, the movements, of the characters as they bounce off the seesaw. And this time we're going to look at a game called Cosmic Raider. But there's various settings that you can put in, and I think this was like, was this like Defender or something? Or maybe a little bit like it? Yeah, I think, no, it's not entirely like Defender, but you do have kind of a radar screen at the bottom, and you can use a little invincibility thing that makes you invincible for a short time. This is the easy setting, and therefore the enemies are not shooting at me. You have to choose a higher difficulty setting. And when you shoot enough enemies, then you get bonus points for the, I think, the shield, the invincibility things that you didn't use. See, I'm going to put this on higher intensity, and so enemies are actually going to shoot at me, and it's going to be much harder. Yeah, the Astrovision was just not very appreciated back in the day. In some ways, you can see why. This time we're going to play Dog Patch, and this was an arcade release. And you have a shotgun, and you just try to shoot this can that this guy's throwing up in the air. And you can change the position of the shotgun, the direction that you're firing, with the dial on the controller. Whoops. And you just get points for repeatedly knocking the can in the air. And you don't want the second player, who's not playing in this game, to shoot it back on your side and make you miss. And I won because I got the most points at the end of the time. And this time we're going to look at, what is this, Bingo Math and Speed Math, or Speed Math and Bingo Math. This one you just try to get as fast an answer as you can in for these very simple mathematical equations. Sometimes the game seems wrong, incorrect in its equations there. And in this one, you just try to get correct answers to fill in numbers on your bingo card and make a bingo. And this time we're going to look at football, which is really not very good. But at least it's got crowd noises and part of Star Spangled Banner. And you have plays that you can choose. The controls kind of suck on this. I like some of the idea behind this, but it's not very good. But for its 1978 release, I guess you could certainly do worse. In television, football was really where it was at right around that time. There's other plays you can choose. I kind of like that. You know, a little variation on the crowd noise. Whoops, and you can get a safety too. Now we're going to look at the old classic Galaxian, and this is really watered down. You have a lot less enemies to face. But it's got some of the, like I said, you can kind of, if you've played some of the Bally Midway games of the late 70s, early 80s, you can kind of recognize some of the sound effects. Kind of surprising that Gorf was not released for the Bally Astrocade. Perhaps there were too many licensing issues with Namco and Midway. But at any rate, yeah, it's very watered down. You can choose a different skill level and you'll get fired upon, which I don't think they did in the game I just played, because I chose a too easy skill level. Now they're firing. Whoops, didn't get out of the way. And this time we're going to look at Grand Prix and Demolition Derby. And this is just like Sprint, the old Atari or Key Games classic. But I'm just playing by myself. So all you do is just drive enough laps and try to get the best time. That's all there is. Whoops. It's really, really pretty boring. And there's other kind of courses you can drive. And there's also Grand Prix 2 and Grand Prix 3, which were the different courses. And this is Demolition Derby. And I think you just try to touch all the other cars or something. I'm not entirely sure how this works. But someone was declared the winner. And this time we're going to look at Gunfight. And like I said, this actually came with the system. This was one of the games that came with it. Gunfight, Checkmate, a calculator, and a Scribbling game. And we'll look at those later. But this is just like Outlaw for the Atari 2600. You just try to shoot the other outlaw or cowboy or whatever, and you can ricochet your shots from the walls. And you use the dial to rotate which direction your gun's pointing. And you can shoot all of your shots and be out, and then you'll have to wait a while until the time runs out, and then the level will restart and you'll have a full stock of bullets. And sometimes a stagecoach can get in your way. And just keep going until the amount of points that you needed to get has been met. And this is the best game for the Bally Astrocade, and it is Wizard of War. But here it is just called The Incredible Wizard. And the feel of the game is just like the arcade. Just wonderful. Doesn't have that creepy background music, nor does it have voice samples, but it's still very, very, very well done. And there's still all the invisible enemies that show up when they're usually close to you. And there's the Warluck. And all the hyper sound effects. And scores double after you kill the Warluck. Yeah, they call this the Incredible Wizard, but this is the Wizard of War game. And now we're going to see the wizard appear. And I killed him. Now all scores quadruple. Yep, and I got an extra life. This is far and away the best game for the BALLY Astrocade. Definitely get this one if you're gonna get the Astrocade or an emulator of it. And here I ran out of lives. Just the sounds and just feel of the game is dead on. Love this game. And now we're gonna look at letter match, spell and score, and crosswords. And this is actually better than it seems. This is like concentration, but with letters. And just try to find matches. And then spell and score is just try to make words out of a bunch of letters as often as you can. And there I'm completing the concentration game, the letter match. And here is spell and score. And you just try to determine how many points you want to reach before your game ends. And you are timed 60 seconds per trying to come up with a word out of the jumble that they have there. So you could choose like scent, and I chose nice, accept, and you press up, and the game will accept it. If it knows the word, it won't always know every word that you can make out of that jumble there. Ooh, can I actually make this word? Oops, come on. Oh my god. But that's how spell and score works. And then there's crosswords. This isn't actual crosswords. You just try to pack as many words as you can out of those letters into this grid. You don't connect one word to another with another word like crosswords do. That doesn't work. Just try to fit as many as you can in there without any letter touching another word. So you have to input and accept and see if the computer will accept it, and it does. Most words that you can find out of the scrambled letters, it'll accept. Sometimes you'll want to come up with short words if you are running out of space between words, so that it can still fit and you can get the most amount of points. I put in a big one. Yep, accepted that one. And now we're going to look at a game called Mrs. Candyman. This is kind of like Pac-Man. It's not great. You try to move between squares, and you'll collect these dots that are between the squares. And you try not to touch enemies that are appearing in the squares. And they don't move fluidly from square to square. They'll just appear in the square adjoining, kind of like a handheld old video game or something. But that's all it is you just try to pick up all those dots. Eventually there will be like an enemy that will appear at the top left, and they'll move much slower from square to square. Yeah, I'm not really digging this game. Oops, yeah, they got me. And a tow truck picks your character up. Then you just start another level, and your speed increases. Yeah, that's a new character up there at the top left. And now we're going to play Muncher, which is a Pac-Man clone, but it's not bad. The graphics are a little cruder, but I like that you can stop partway through moving in a line. Unlike in the arcade game, you'll keep on moving. I kind of like the sound effects in this, and it has the police siren like in the arcade game. And you can barely make out the fruits. This game would be a little bit better if it had the intermissions, which it does not. The enemies merely have to graze you to kill you, unlike in the arcade original where they have to overtake you, basically. And that's the end of a stage there. But like I said, there's no intermissions. Now we're going to look at Red Baron and Panzer Attack. And this is the Atari 2600 combat, basically. You can fly as biplanes and shoot each other, or you can run into that rock there, or whatever that is. And then there's also the tank game, which is Panzer Attack. Yeah, not particularly great, and like I said, directly ripped off Combat, which was the Atari 2600 or Atari VCS's first released game. And it came as a pack-in game. This is stupid. You can play against yourself. And you have no real goal. Or you can play against the second player who's not even playing here. And I'll shoot them. But next we're going to look at Pirate's Chase. This is alright. This is kind of a Pac-Man, eat all the dots type of game. But there will be a special bonus treasure. Blow the man down. There will be a special treasure that appears at the center, or close to the center, every once in a while, and you have to watch out for that skull that's flying around and is trying to catch you. And that treasure increases in value the further you get in the game. You really get some nice scores. And the dots increase slightly in value as well. Not much to it, but it's okay. Not the worst time waster. Yeah, I'd never heard of the Bally Astrocade back in the day. And this time we're going to look at Sea Devil. Now this is like Defender, but it's underwater, and you have squids and you have a little sonar sound effect. But you blast the enemies. The squids are kind of hard to shoot at first. It looks like those are the humanoids from Defender, and the enemies might be taking those away to turn them into mutants. But I have the difficulty level too low. You can turn around and go back the way you came, like in Defender. And there's that radar screen at the top. Very, very similar to Defender. But we are looking at the official releases of the Bally Astrocade. Yeah, hyper kind of noisy sound effects. Sometimes, though, they definitely work. And this time we're going to look at the old classic Seawolf and the game Missile. It's a 2-pack. And it's Seawolf was an arcade release, but it was a totally first-person viewpoint. This is not. A little sub at the bottom firing upwards to take out the enemies. And those mines don't give you any points. They just serve to get in the way. Whoops. And you have like 4 torpedoes you can shoot it at once. And when they run out, you have to wait a while for the next batch. And this is Missile, and this is kind of like maybe a little bit like, not quite like Air-Sea Battle, but this is kind of similar to Seawolf, except you're at the bottom, firing up at planes. And now we're going to look at a game called Solar Conqueror. I'm trying to remember what this is. I like that there's options for just about every game you play. You could choose how many rounds, how many lives, how long you can play, how many points you need to reach before your game ends, whatever. I kind of like that. And you see this screen only between your stages. You're not in control of this. And you have to shoot X amount of enemies. And you have some pretty nice freedom of flying. There's going to be a little explosion that they leave. If you run into that explosion, you're dead. So watch out. And maybe after like a couple stages, then you see the first-person flying sequence. Yeah, eventually they'll shoot at you. Yeah, they really should have had Gorf with the sound effects that you hear in these games. It would have worked perfectly for the Astrocade. Space Fortress here is just like the old arcade game Space Zap. It's very similar, and it has the same feel as the arcade and same sound effects. I would recommend this too. This is a reaction game, and you see enemies appear on all sides of you. This is a lot like the later Atari 2600 Cosmic Arc. I think the hyper sound effects really work well for this game. It puts a lot of tension on you when enemy shots are appearing from all sides. If any of those shots crosses your fortress, you have a really fantastic explosion sequence. I kind of like this. I remember the arcade original Space App. Well, this time we're going to look at Star Battle. And this is far and away the worst game for the Astrovision. This sucks. All it is you shooting this enemy here, trying to land a shot on them. And that's all there is. And there's this annoying screeching sound when you shoot. This game really sucks. I don't know what they were going for, but it's one of the earliest ones for the Astrocade. So fortunately, they were only going to get better. Overall, I'm not a huge fan of the Astrocade, but it certainly had potential. And this time we're going to look at, what was this? Tornado Baseball, Tennis, Hockey, and Handball. It's a four-packer. And you pitch and you bat. You can move the infield left or right before the pitch. If you manage to hit a ball between the fielders, you can either get a single, double, triple, or a homer. And I like the crowd noise, at least. And now we'll go ahead and look at tennis. You can rush the net. You can move left and right, up or down. And up or down is kind of you're like the paddle in a breakout. You just try to serve it over their net and past them. And the second player isn't even playing, but they still scored because sometimes the ball got by me. There's an automatic serve. The ball will automatically be in play to start. And there I scored 21 and beat him. And now we're going to look at hockey, and this is just a glorified breakout. But you can move your guys all over the place, which is nice. Up, down, left, right. And I think with the dial part, that moves them up and down, and you can move the joystick actually left and right to make them move left and right. and moving the dial left and right will make them move in unison. And you just try to get the ball in the goal. And then I think this is handball. And it's very much like tennis. But yeah, not really my cup of tea. Kind of dull. There were definitely some dull games in the beginning for just about every home system. And now we're going to look at the other games that were that came with the system. We have Checkmate, Calculator, and Scribbling. Checkmate is a snake game. Calculator is just a calculator. It's kind of stupid. You'll use the keypad on the system. And Scribbling is just a little kind of lame art game. You can draw things. You can have a limited amount of colors. And here is Checkmate. Yeah, snake game was where there were a number of games in the 70s that were snake games, and you try to make the other players crash. And this is 4 players simultaneous here, 3 of them controlled by the computer. And you try to be the last one alive, and you'll get points for all the opponents that you killed, or that ran into walls or whatever themselves and were destroyed. And the computer is really quite stupid in this game. See, they get themselves in a little bind there. And we'll look at the calculator, and you'll want to use the keypad on the system to do mathematical equations. Do times, divided by, plus, minus, whatever. Pretty dull. Yeah, it was annoying to have to use the keypad for games sometimes. You might need to have the console on your lap along with using the joystick. Here's Scribbling. Now, you can use the controller to move the dot around, and you hold down the button and pull to make a line. And there is a button on the keypad, I think, that makes you change the color, but it has to change the color of everything that you've drawn to that point. I'm drawing very, very, very crudely here, making a stop sign, drawing like a street. It's hard to tell where the bottom of your pad is. It's not where you see the black in this video. It's much higher than that. See, whoops. That was the bottom there. Just make a little street. Whoops. Little neighborhood. Damn it. But yeah, there is a button on the keypad. I think it might have been 0 that can change the colors. I can't remember for sure, but it'll have to change the colors of everything you've drawn, not just like one thing. So it's all got to be one color. But you have like a little palette of a limited palette of colors that you can change everything to. Yeah, the commercial clip that I had in this video stated that I think there were more colors than the system actually put to use that they could have for output. So a lot of the games look kind of blah. But yeah, if you're going to get the BALLY Astrocade or emulate it, no doubt play some of The Incredible Wizard. That's the best game by far. There's a number of them that aren't too bad. And there's a bunch of homebrew games too. And there is the BALLY Basic cartridge. We'll look at that a little bit. I don't know how to program anything through this, but we will look at a demo video of what the Bally Basic can do. Yeah, I used to try to program games with my TI-99 back in the day. That's kind of fun, but I couldn't really program anything with that either. And eventually, if you put in some weird stuff and press enter or something, the computer will be like, "What?" Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing either. But this is the demo here, and it just shows off some of the art that you can do. And yeah, Bally Basic was a program that came with the I can't remember what it's called, the Bally computer system, and that was 1981. But this is a very, very cool demo. I love this. This basically explains what you can do with the Bally computer system. This is really funny. Makes me think of a movie called Electric Dreams, in which there was a sentient computer, and you can make music with the Astrocade. But yeah, that was probably the strongest selling point with the Astrocade, was its music. Although the Bally Basic was kind of cool too. The demos are going to be slightly different. You can play through the demo once, and then it'll look a little bit different the second time through. I bet if you get into the programming aspect of this, you could crank out some pretty interesting games. There's some things to like about the Bally Astrocade, or the various different names this system had. Bally Home Library Computer, Bally Professional Arcade, Bally Computer System, and then just Bally Astrocade. Ugh, it's murder on my eardrums. But yeah, if you like the Bally Midway games from the late 70s to early 80s, Gorf and Space Zap and whatnot, that had the hyper graphics and hyper sounds, you'll dig the Astrocade for sure. Yeah, the demo restarts. But that was our look at the Bally Astrocade. I guess maybe not all versions, but there were a number of versions that you could open up the top and you could store your controllers in there or games in there. Like I said, The Incredible Wizard, that's the best game by far of the Astrocade. Kind of interesting little system. But that was my look at the Bally Astrocade and the number of different titles that it had. Well, this is Crazyclimber80's saying thanks for watching my look at the Bally Astrocade. I hope to see you soon for my next video with a look at another console. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.